Ladies and gentlemen, filmmakers and moviegoers alike, welcome to this week's episode of Critically Casual. I'm your host, Srekcuf5, and joining me as always is the amazing Dorky. Say hi, Dan.
I
You don't sound so good today. Well, you sound
fucking tired, man.
I was about to say you sound tired is what I was gonna say.
So, I was late to work today again.
Mm-hmm.
So last Monday, right, I talked about the alarm clock broke.
Mm-hmm.
Then Saturday, I slept through all of my alarms until past noon when I was supposed to be at work. I slept 12 hours Saturday.
Damn.
Tonight, or last night, we end stream, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because we ended around 10.
That's about right.
Because it's usually when we end streams. I did my unwind, made some rice. I was in the kitchen, unwinding. Laid down around 11. Finally started to fall asleep close to like 12:31. Cops knock on my door at 1 o'clock.
1 p.m. or 1 in the morning?
1 in the morning.
Okay.
They were looking for someone in the neighborhood who had called 911. They didn't know where they were. Because they had a medical something, I'm guessing, because they got sent to the hospital. They didn't know where they were, so they were knocking on the doors. Me, though, just waking up to this, which for some god-awful reason, apparently I will wake up to a knock on the door, but nothing else.
Now you know.
Immediately, my anxiety goes through the fucking roof. So I didn't sleep pretty much at all last night until from like 5 to 9 o'clock, pretty much. I was supposed to be at work at 8. I slept through. Let me pull it up. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 phone alarms, 2 alarm clock alarms, and 3 electric alarms.
You taking any medications or anything recently?
No.
You're dying.
I don't take medication because I won't wake up. Sleep medication is a bad idea for me. I'll go into more detail on Friday, though. But yeah, man, it's been a day.
For me, it's been a day too, so it feels like today's going to be a shorter podcast. I've had 2 things happen today. One good, one bad. Good thing. I'll start with the bad thing. We'll end with the good thing. The bad thing is I'm pretty sure me and my mom are not on speaking terms anymore. Sad. And it's all just because of political opinions, and then arguments escalate. And even though I tried to keep things out of the argument territory. Like, I was contradicting her, but it just went straight to you're arguing and I'm not going to talk to you anymore type conversations.
Was your argument, though, facts?
I would think it would. Some of it's opinion based. Like, one moment was, the moment that really disappointed me was, like, I'm not going to go into specific details, but we're already into this point, and my mom starts putting words in my mouth. At least that's how it felt to me. Where she starts saying things like, like she's a racist, and she's ignorant, and she's uneducated. And she's like, oh, go ahead and keep thinking that I'm that type thing. And I'm like, I'm not thinking that you are those things. Sure, like, at times I have said on this channel that she is racist. I don't genuinely believe she's racist. She says racist things on occasion because that's what she was taught when she was young. But I try to, I share my things.
You're trying to show her the right path.
That was my hopes. But it seems she has doubled down on her own opinions. Sure, she's not a racist, but she's not going to help anybody else, is what it feels like now. And she's not going to listen to me. And it's very upsetting. Very, I'm not going to get into arguments. I'm both angry and I'm also depressed.
That's fair.
I hope this
That's understandable. It's your mom, dude. It's your mom.
I hope this would have gone a completely different direction, and so my mood's a bit down. But the good thing is I got a framed version of my diploma, which I'm gonna make the glare show up so you can't read my name. But It's here.
His name is...
The Krabby Patty formula is... Exactly.
Wow, Mr. Crab.
But yeah, I now have a diploma that it came pre-framed that I will probably display in my room somewhere. But I will have to think about that because if I record videos in my room, diploma's in my room.
Oh, eventually your name's gonna get out there.
Yeah, it's probably gonna happen. I mean, I don't. At the moment, I do and don't mind it. Like, it'd be nice to get recognition professionally for anything that I've done that's professional quality. Have I done anything professional quality yet?
Editing-wise, you have.
All right.
I consider the videos you make me professional.
I appreciate that.
You do better than I could do as a like casual editor, if that makes sense. Like you understand more cinematic ideals.
I enjoy your videos.
Which adds flair to my videos.
Which I still need to work on one more. I got distracted today. I gotta work on tomorrow's video for you. All right.
It's all right.
We've been distracted enough. Let's start talking about today's show.
Oh boy, here we go.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a show.
Yeah, I've called it standalone pictures for a couple of reasons. They're comic book adaptations. They're standalone stories in the movie form. You know, I'm clever. Admire me. We're talking about the Green Hornet and V for Vendetta. Then we're gonna wrap everything up with some news and wrap up.
And next month's movies.
Yeah, next month's movies. So, I guess anything else you want to say before we hop into the Green Hornet?
No, let's hop in.
All right, let's shift in the first gear and get going. Green Hornet. You know, a movie with people in it.
Yeah, Green Hornet came out January 14th, 2011. Didn't realize how... It's not recent, but I didn't realize how recent it was. If that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Budget of $120 million. U.S. opening of $33 million. Gross U.S. at $98 million. And worldwide at $220 million. So under what it wanted to make. Didn't even make double its budget. And you want to know the main reason why?
Why is that, Dev?
It's too fucking long.
It's a long movie. For what they're doing, it's a long movie.
Yeah. I genuinely, I only wrote one note. It was, man, this movie should have been a half-hour shorter. Also, too much love, plot, and jokes.
Mm-hmm.
Because of its length. I think it's literally, that is too much because it's an extra half hour of it.
Mm-hmm. Like, there's this movie is weird because this time around, I tried to watch this movie remembering that comedy movies are very quickly dated. Like, just because they're humor.
This one didn't date too bad.
There were some out-of-color jokes in there, I'll be honest. Some things I was
yeah.
But that's comedy in general, I understand.
I'm more talking outdated as in, like, references and stuff.
The outdated
That's usually what I think of outdated.
Sorry, I was going both directions. References
That's
themselves,
fair.
Not so much. Color of the commentary of their humor was a little dated.
Oh, yeah.
But
it's a Seth Rogen movie from 2011.
Yeah, so trying to keep that in mind, that the humor might be a little racist at times.
And
or
sexist.
very sexist at times. That one I can't get past, honestly. Like, I feel like even in 2011, we were making talks about this stuff.
Right. 100%.
So, I mean,
that's probably another reason why this movie didn't do well. Mm-hmm. It was...
Don't get me wrong, I'm a young child who's only 26 years of age and hasn't been alive through most of life. But I feel like 2010 was a long time past when we stopped treating women that way. Like, literally, I wrote that in my notes. I would have walked out the fucking door. The first thing he says is, "Who's that hottie with the body?" "Oh, I'm just kidding. Hi, how are you?" Like, oh.
Yeah. It was... That introduction, I'm like, his character's not really likable.
No,
I
yeah.
think that's one of the problems too. They don't really give him a likable character.
Did you read?
Seth Rogen is usually a very likable character in movies.
Mm-hmm. Did you by chance read the Green Hornet at all? You comic book nerd?
No,
Okay.
I didn't really get into Green Hornet.
Was he always inept and useless?
I think Kato was the badass, and like Hornet was more not necessarily inept, but kind of magooed his way through some stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Is the best way to put it. If I remember correctly, because it was a TV show, I know that, which is where that theme at the end came in. Which I did appreciate the theme showing up, but it should have shown up elsewhere too.
No, I agree with you. At least play more of a homage to it. Like,
right?
There are a couple things I want to call out in this movie. Not the comedy. A lot of it's writing. Like,
most of this movie has bad writing.
Yeah, starting with the character's backstory and his motivations, which then quickly adjusts into 20 years later. So good to know that 20 years of life doesn't matter, but we needed to see this one specific moment for this movie.
Oh, we didn't.
No. We have our traumatic event that happens, and then it's just followed by moments where I'm like, oh, this is the twist. I was right. Oh, this is what they're going to do with this punchline. I was right. Oh, I bet they're going to do this with this relationship. And they did. Like,
yeah, dude, when David Harborough walked in, I was like, he's going to be a villain. Because this is before his hero phase. This is before Stranger Things. This is before I knew him as a hero. He's a villain. Lo and behold. Like, not really a huge spoiler, but it's a spoiler, I guess. I don't know. Sorry. I'm just like, dude, this movie is what, 9 years old? Nearly a decade? But that goes to show, like, it shows a flaw in the movie, in my opinion. Because when he shows up immediately, I'm like, yeah, you're a villain.
If you ignore him being typecasted there as the villain, he literally tells you he's the villain in the movie.
Right?
Like, in an interview as well. Like, this whole thing, all of it, that's to deal with that damn newspaper.
Yeah, that too, man. I don't know.
Like,
again, that also makes the character of Green Hornet not as likable, because, like, Clark Kent doesn't really write the papers about Superman.
Mm-hmm.
Lois does, which is a little bit iffy.
But the thing I'm wondering is, the difference there is Clark Kent is a good guy, and
yes,
the Green Hornet was trying to be a bad guy?
He was trying to be a good guy disguised as a bad guy.
Okay.
But the amount of mayhem and shit they do, I'm curious how many innocent lives end up in the crosshairs.
No, there were times when I was like, oh, that guy's dead. But then they would, just to make sure that we know they're not dead, they would add, like, a voiceover line. Like, the car's upside down. Yeah, the car's upside down, on fire, glass shattered everywhere. Yeah, shit. And they did it another time when they were, like, driving down the freeway, like, past this chase. Like, they had blown up a guy's car, essentially, and you hear, after the fireball, oh, fuck, or something along those lines. And it's like, yep, they didn't kill him, not at all.
Yeah. And then when they did show the death, it was like, wow, that was either really lame or really just lame.
Some of the things I did like, though. Like, the first time we get to see Kato's little ability, I enjoyed it.
Yes, that was interesting.
The second and third time we saw the ability, I didn't enjoy it as much. Though I do think my favorite scene has to be the spread the word scene. When they split up into 12 different perspectives throughout the filming.
That was interesting.
Yeah, I like it only because how it began. Like, when it starts with the one person, then it splits to 2, then it goes to 3, then to 5, and it gets to 8. And at that 8, I really like it. I was like, this is a really cool demonstration of, like, filming and what you can do with storytelling. And it was all one long take of uncut, one person to the next, so it looks like, of course they were zero cuts or non-cuts, as we would call them, or whatever, to block the shots, but it still looked like one long untake. But then they suddenly started doing cuts in between, and I was like, well, they kind of ruined it for me. But they still had a really cool approach. They really did.
It worked too because like it reminds you of a comic panel.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And that's kind of why I did the Vendetta for the background on the opening. Because I was like, comic books. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Because this movie definitely made me think comic book.
Not always the best.
No.
Unfortunately. I don't know, like, it's just, again, I think my biggest problem is, like, dude, by, like, that hour and a half mark, I was like, dude, there's another half hour of this movie. Even though 9 minutes of it is credits, I still, like, I got to that point, I'm like, dude, I don't know how long the credits are because I don't check beforehand. I don't know how much of this movie's actually left.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. I'm here forever. And I had V to watch afterwards, and I'm like, that was long too.
V's long, but we'll get into that one.
But we'll get into that.
Yeah.
But it's a different, like, compared to that, this just feels long, and
there's.
I think that's always one of my biggest complaints about a movie is when it feels long. Because a movie could be 3 hours like Endgame and not feel long because it's keeping things fresh every time something happens. Endgame is probably like my ideal form of that. Lord of the Rings extended editions do a good job of that. They never feel long until you hit the disc. And you're like, oh yeah, I gotta switch discs. But now we don't gotta deal with that. I wish I had the Blu-ray so I didn't have to deal with that. That's the only reason, because like the Blu-ray can hold all 3 hours of that fucking movie on there. Well, it's like what Endgame's on a Blu-ray, so with more information and stuff. But like I don't know, it's just like I my biggest problem for movies is if jokes obviously like do not land. CGI, which this movie didn't have that issue.
It had moments where like I could call out a fake person or a fake car, but that's just because it was early CG, I think.
Yeah, well, I wasn't even early CG. We're not going to give 2011 early CGI bonus.
True. Like, there was a moment with the printing press and the car falling off of it.
Oh, yeah, right. Okay, yeah, that broke me for a moment. I'm like, what the fuck was that? That was dumb looking.
Some of Kato's fight scenes were fine, but the second or third fight scene, I can't remember which one it was, where Kato starts doing things, they digitally replace him.
Yeah. But like, it wasn't gratuitous for me. But bad jokes and then movie feeling long. Like that is my problem. Like an hour and a half movie can feel long, and that's a problem. 2 hour movie that feels like a 3 hour movie, you're killing me on the inside. Cause I'm like, I could be spending time doing something. And I know I'm doing something for something that I like doing.
No, yeah. Sometimes I agree with you, though. Like, sometimes watching these movies feels like it could be considered a waste of time.
Yeah, if we weren't talking about it, I would have wasted time. Which is why I'm glad we talk about it, because I'm like, at least it wasn't for naught. And this is one of those movies for me.
Like, I'll be honest, I still kind of regret watching last week's movies. Like, they were fun, but they were definitely a waste of time. Even for the show. Like, they were kind of a waste of time for the show.
I don't know. I find them interesting because we go from one good movie to one... Well, we went from one alright movie to one good movie to one movie.
But at least these movies, like this one, it's hard to say because I feel like some of the problem with this movie too is they don't give you enough. Like, it almost seems like you could. Sorry, let me rephrase what I'm going at. When you know that like there's gonna be a, like we've already spoiled it. When you know there's gonna be a twist, it's kind of easy to spot the details and like
right
things like that. But I feel like this movie, other than some of the really easy cutoff lines, didn't really tell you what they were doing with this movie. Like, he has connections with these people, and he is in charge of this news company, and these things are happening. Like, some of it feels like these events just like they just happenstance into these events. Which, sure, it might be how they magoo their way into them, but I'm not sure because like the he spends 5 minutes in we'll say 5 minutes in movie time trying to figure things out, and some people kind of need that 5 minute sequence of him piecing things together to understand that the conspiracy was happening in the first place.
Is 2011 is after Avengers.
That's true.
Remember correctly. Oh no, 2012 was Avengers. This is right before Avengers.
This is after. This is still like after Iron Man and all that stuff.
Yeah, this is after like we've started getting definitively good superhero movies, and some of them funny, like an Iron Man. Genuinely, when they do comedy, it's funny. This one just doesn't land its comedy, which just shows to me like. Because when the humor starts to get dry, that also adds to your length of the movie. Like I don't like because there's the mental length of the movie in your head, right? And if it just starts to drag that out, you're gonna lose, especially the casual audience like myself. You're gonna lose us. So no wonder this movie did not make its money back.
Yeah, there are moments where it's kind of confusing what's going on. Like, well, not necessarily confusing, but you can see how it loses its audience. Like they added a time skip in this movie just so they could have more badass moments in the end of the movie. Like,
right?
Oh, we need to skip 11 days. We need to skip 20 years. We need to 20 years one I can give away because, you know, that's just how most movies do it.
But usually that prelude scene elaborates more.
It's a little more relevant because one of the notes that I wrote down on here was I felt like they were comparing child conflicts to adult conflicts. Like, he's just holding all these grudges against his dad, which, don't get me wrong, his dad's not a good person. Well, at least not a good dad. He might be a good person, but he's not a good parent.
No, yeah.
So, like, I feel like he's there's a whole scene where Kato and Britt are discussing how his dad has wronged them, and Britt's just focused on this one childhood incident while Kato's like, your dad was irresponsible and dumb and put his problems on other people. And he's just like, but he ripped up my toy. Like,
it was such a weird thing to focus on. Like, if we got shown like multiple stages through his life during that,
like, show more of his appreciation of wanting to become a superhero, maybe.
Well, not just that, show some like of his dad actually being a dick throughout the years too.
More than just that one scene.
Yeah, because it's really the one scene we get of him being a dick. At least an ununderstandable dick. Like, he's a dick towards the beginning of the movie to him as well. But it's understandable because he's being a fucking slouch.
Like, yeah, he's not a productive adult.
No. As a parent, kicking him in the ass to get like, hey, do something, it's kind of understandable. Especially when they seem to be spoiled rotten. I don't know. That's just, they're not likable. There's no, like, Kato's the only likable character, and even then, Kato has flaws that I'm not cool with.
No, yeah.
Most of the flaws the characters show is around Cameron Diaz, too. I feel bad for her. She ggets dragged into some movies that I'm just like,
yeah, this isn't one of her better movies.
No.
Like, her acting is fine. I bought that she was in this role. But her role was not a good role.
No.
Like, yes, I would love to be the temp secretary that gets hit on by a creepy, spoiled man-child. That sounds like the perfect role. No. So, I don't know. I enjoyed parts of this movie for sure. But I agree with you. There are moments that are definitely too long. For the payoff of the movie, and like yeah, I'm piecing together all the dots in my head right now, and it'd go too much into spoilers to talk about all of them. But there's a lot of dots to connect before you get from the beginning of the movie to the end.
Are just unnecessary.
Like, I definitely don't think you need the love triangle at all.
No.
Not needed. It was just there to create conflict in this origin story. Because all group origin stories have to have conflict in them somewhere where the group disbands.
But at least with other group origins, it's understandable. This one is just a fucking misunderstanding and two people really starting to like look at a woman as property, not as a person. While like with Avengers, it's more like, hey, you egomaniac asshole, what are you without your suit? Oh, this.
Playboy, philanthropist.
And everyone kind of arguing in a room. And that's a tension building scene that actually adds to the plot later. Mm-hmm. And it builds up the moment when they actually work together. Who would have thought that that builds the things? Their fight doesn't build to shit.
Their fight builds to a aha, I fooled you moment, which really doesn't have any reconciliation. Like, they have a fight, which it's weird because they do one thing well in their argument in this movie, is they portray that people can have an argument but still be friends. Like, because Britt and Kato have a fight where Kato almost drowns in the pool. But Britt, rather than just walking away and being like, I'm done here, I'm done with you, good luck type thing, which I feel like a lot of people would do in movies after that kind of moment, he takes the time to throw him a life preserver, which was just a floating lobster, because that's a joke, haha, gags. But throws him a life preserver so he could save his life, and they walk away. So, and they don't talk to each other, but they still were like, you saved my life, but I'm still angry at you. Like, they portrayed that humans do have emotions, but at the same time, they never fix the argument in an appropriate way. Like, I don't know. Well, I do know. They just didn't fix it, and they didn't give us a justifiable payoff, I would say.
Agreed.
So,
one joke real quick. I just read something. Because we're both millennials, so I'm going to read it out real quick. Do millennials even eat? Contradictory studies claim they're shopping for fewer groceries, but also dining out less. And someone retweeted, accidentally left wing, retweeted, when you accidentally discover poverty.
Yeah. I was just about to say, that sounds like people just don't have money.
We're millennials. We don't like to eat.
Yeah, we just don't like food. Yeah. Clearly, me and my man-tits don't like food. Damn, I was hoping to get water out your nose on that one.
No, dude. Good timing. I resisted. I don't want coffee going through my nose.
Ooh, was it hot coffee?
No, God, no. I usually drink iced coffee personally during the summer. I'll start drinking hot coffee later, but like iced coffee when it's fucking 97 out, 99 out. I'll do that instead. Okay, yeah, but no, can we move on? This movie, yeah. I'm done talking
Here
about it.
Here are your popcorn, so you can have your 10 kernels.
I'm giving it like a 4.5.
Ooh.
It's not even like an average movie in my book. Like, it kind of falls short.
Okay. I was going to give it a 5.5. But yeah, so I was at least expecting like a 6 from you. 6.5.
No, dude. What? Really?
Yeah.
I was bored, dude. I was genuinely bored through this movie, which is a bad sign for me.
All right. So yeah, we're done here with this boring movie that took too long and didn't have any good punchlines. So we're going on to this movie, which people could be bored in, which does take a long time, but definitely delivers a punchline. Let's talk about V for Vendetta.
V for Vendetta.
That was a stretch to try and segue there. I'm sorry.
Yeah. V for Vendetta came out March 17th, 2016 or 2006. Sorry, my brain is broken today. I'm sorry. In the U.S. It originally released in the U.K. in 2005. Had a budget of $54 million U.S. opening at 25, which U.S. at 70 million overall, and a cumulative worldwide at 132 million, which is lower than I thought it would be. But whatever. It is an adaptation of Alan Moore's graphic novel V for Vendetta, which was very popular. There's a lot of deviations from it in character, with especially with V. V's the difference between the two of these movies, or these two versions, and it's why Alan Moore isn't a fan of this. I still think this is a fun movie. Don't get me wrong. And I think it's a all right adaptation, but it does miss what the artist originally wanted from it, which is that V also wasn't. V only has one moment where he's not really a hero in this movie, while in the graphic novel there's a lot more nuance to him. It's a lot like Rorschach from Alan Moore's Watchmen.
Okay.
People look at Rorschach as being this like, dude, he's so cool. But if you read the actual graphic novel of Watchmen, he's not that cool. And people misinterpret it. V has a lot of those issues being the anarchist. And he's supposed to have flaws to show that anarchy isn't exactly the answer. That there's something in the middle between full control and pure anarchy. Like there's a middle ground.
Mm-hmm.
So he's supposed to be a lot more flawed and not as good. Because he is the opposite end of the spectrum of the party. So there's a lot of that's missed, in my opinion, from the graphic novel. Again, doesn't necessarily make this bad. Mm-hmm. I still enjoy this every time I watch it. I will say that. But I figured I'd give you a quick lesson. Alan Moore hates everything that's adapted from his stuff.
He's kind of like Stephen King in that aspect, where he feels they miss the points of what they're adapting.
But unlike Stephen King, they do.
Yeah. So, V for Vendetta in this instance, it was kind of. I really enjoyed watching this movie. Like, it was nice to go back and watch a movie that I watched in the past, one that actually kind of helped me with like my theater background, I would say, even though I don't really have one. Like, it was still a part of, like, I remember, like I said, I did the V for Vendetta speech in my English class, but I didn't say I also did use it for auditions for plays, which I did. Once I memorized it, why not? That's a hard thing to say.
I mean, yeah.
But you do that, and it was kind of nice to watch this again, but it was also eerie watching this again and seeing so many sad things that could relate. Like, sometimes
that are scarily overlined with what's happening in today.
I forget how topical we can be sometimes, Like, we could pick some good movies without realizing it.
Like, I knew this would be somewhat topical. I just forgot how topical it would be. There's an infection spreading around America, while the rest of the world is quarantined it off.
There's violence breaking out on the streets because people are voicing their opinions, and
there's a strong militant, homophobically racist,
xenophobic,
and what is it? It's not anti-Semitic to be just generally against any other form of religion.
That's xenophobia.
Is that xenophobia? I thought that xenophobia was other people's. They're also xenophobic, but regardless.
Yeah, having a dislike or prejudice against people of other countries. Xenophobic.
Okay, I mean, yeah, they're xenophobic as well. They're xenophobic, racist, homophobic, militant fascists that are also afraid of every other religion. Steven's, I'm guessing you're looking up fear of other religions?
Yeah. Fear of other... I am really bad at typing right now. Other religions. A theophobia?
They're also atheophobic. Because if you're not a God-fearing Brit,
Oh wait, hang on.
that's
No, sorry, I misread that. Yeah, a theophobic is the fear of anti of agnostics and atheists.
well, they are that too.
Yeah, like there's apparently a fear for each type of thing. Like there's
There's not just a general one.
no, there's theophobic, atheophobic, anti-Semitic. Let's see.
Everything that Steve was reading that isn't the Christian slash are they Catholic? I don't know which God fearing they are.
I believe
Probably Catholic.
they would be Catholic in this one.
Oops.
Taking out your we're going horror stream.
But yeah, they're all of that. Because I didn't even realize it, but it's kind of creepy that there isn't another. There is, as far as I can tell, there is no one who's not white
In this whole movie? I didn't really pay attention to that, but you're not wrong. Like, I hadn't really paid attention to that at all.
Yeah.
Like, you...
Which, again, leans into that.
I would have to double check, but it would fit the theme better, for sure.
Like, looking through it, I don't see anyone. Yeah. Yeah.
But
Looking through the IMDb, yeah.
this movie goes over some interesting subjects that could hit pretty close to home right now, depending on, who you talk to.
Everything.
But yeah, talking about this movie. Sorry, I got distracted. There are a lot of things that I like, a lot of things that I don't like. Well, not necessarily. There's only really one moment that I don't really like, but for the majority of this film, I enjoyed it. Like, the only thing, and I'll get this out of the way, the only thing that I really disliked about this movie was one special effect, which was they essentially did like almost a bullet time effect for V's blades during a key fight scene.
Yeah.
That is the one moment that I do not like this film. Like, I like the fight scene, I don't like the trail effect that they use. It doesn't fit me. For me, it doesn't fit this mood of the movie, and it kind of comes out of nowhere because it never happens anywhere else in this film, only in this one scene. But other than that, I like what this movie does. It has a pretty dark story. It sets a grim mood and warns of some problems that you could see happening. Like, it was
Alan Moore likes to warn us about stuff. He's
Yeah.
like the guy who wrote 1984. Don't tell me when I get there.
Alright, well, you get there.
I had it. George Orwell.
There you go.
Knew it was a G and a no, and I was like, my brain's like, if you could see it, it's like letters going around my head.
Yeah, like the math effect, but it's
like a
letters.
cipher spinning, and I'm like spinning the right things there. Ugh.
Yeah, you got there, George Orwell.
George Orwell. Yeah. Those two share a lot of similarities that they try to warn you about certain things. Like this is George Orwell's story about this is the fact that like you don't want to give the government all your power.
Mm-hmm.
You also don't want to fall into true anarchy because that's just going to be death in the streets. But you know, it's also about rising up to those things, which has become stupidly topical lately for us.
Mm-hmm. Things that I want to talk about in this movie is they nail moods and themes so well. Like, on the top of the paper, I wrote oppression, suspense, tension, anxiety. Like, these are all things that they do extremely well. They have moments that I think could be a little heavy-handed in their storytelling and their symbolism, like the domino sequence, uh,
Yes.
or the flash of fire when Evie's standing in the rain. Like, they take moments and they flash to them to like be like we're drawing a connection here, people. But I feel like they didn't need to do that kind of stuff. I feel like they
I don't know. The domino one I like because it's like it's showing
the domino one I
that.
like a lot. Like it's one of my favorite sequences because it helps like it literally explains a story from one person's perspective while untying it for other people's perspectives, and it shows that this was all planned. The part that I don't like is how the last domino.
Oh, the perfect catch.
Yeah.
I think that's awesome because I'm pretty sure that that's all practical. You know how hard that is to do that?
Oh, of course.
To time it so that everything falls perfectly so that two of them catch it.
It's the symbolism of what that means, though, that I'm getting at. It's like, obviously, that perfect catch stands for one person specifically. The one person
Oh,
on
yeah,
his
yeah,
mind.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
The one key to the problem. Like, I thought it was a little too heavy-handed.
I think it's fine.
But at the other time, everything else that they did was pretty cool. Like, I hated that the Fingermen were such sleazy people.
Yeah.
Because it works. It like I love some of the lines that they use with like the news and the BTN about fabrication. The cinematography in this movie was freaking great. Like I wrote on here cinematography. Like just moments that I love them like just how they made this movie. And they even took us through it in a way that I enjoyed, where they took us through three different perspectives, but it all tied together in a way that felt really gratifying. Because they dropped the clues, but not too many, not too heavy-handedly, and it felt very successful and gratifying. Thanks for the bits, by the way. The bell.
Woo! Biddies. Yeah, no, they are. And the other thing too is like I think another thing about this is that like um I think the flaw that I have with it is that I think I would have enjoyed it more if they had stayed true to Alan Moore's adaptation of it with a little bit more showing V being a little bit more nuanced. Because even the thing that he does that's questionable is cited in good, you know?
Oh, I hear you. Like, you wish he was more in the middle?
Yeah.
Yeah, like, they make him too approachable, I guess. Like, too... Like, I agree with this guy. And I think the one scene that does that for me, like the one that where they take it a little bit too far, is the nurse, the doctor. Like, they make him really sympathetic in these moments. When he's really just a cold-blooded killer.
Yeah?
Like, sure, his killings have meaning and they have purpose and it's all for the plan of the greater good. But if you take out that he's been planning these for 20 years, pretty brutal. They're especially brutal if you think that he's been planning these out for 20 years. But
well, they're a lot more brutal in the graphic novels.
Yeah, of course.
But
like we know that he kills well, not necessarily kills. Like there's a lot of things that he does. Like we know that he does stuff to what's his name? Commander news personality dude. I don't remember his name.
That's where I am. Give me a second. Yes, Yes. Louis Parthario.
Prothero. Yeah, that's right.
Prothera.
Yeah, Prothero. Um, like we know he does some pretty dark stuff to him, but we don't get to see it. Which I kind of wish we got to see, like at least the aftermath. Not all of it, but definitely like some visceral stuff. Like, say for instance, we get to see our investigator walk into the room and there's just blood everywhere. Like that's all I would
something
need.
more. Yeah, he's just not nuanced. Like again, I think that's my problem. He's just not nuanced enough. Which, I mean, again, which makes it, in my opinion, a little problematic. Because do you think that Anonymous would have used the Guy Fawkes mask if it wasn't for this movie?
No, I don't think they would.
I don't think they would have done it based off of the original telling of V for Vendetta.
Mm-hmm.
Now, maybe some true anarchists would have, but at the same time, I don't think it would be as it would not be as synonymous as it is today without the movie. And I think part of that is because anarchy looks good in this movie.
I hear you.
And again, it is an adaptation. I do enjoy it. I know that like I know I'm sounding more critical of this movie, but I'm more explaining my thought process on it. It doesn't mean I don't enjoy it.
No, yeah. There were some things like there's a lot of stuff that I want to talk about in this movie. Well, not necessarily a lot of stuff. There are moments that I keep thinking of that I'd like. Oh, remember this moment? No, I can't talk about that because that's spoilers. Like this movie just does a lot of like it uses symbolism a lot. It does some really interesting storytelling too. Like the director for this movie, what's his name? I had it here just a second ago.
James McTeague.
Yeah, McTeague. Really good director. I kind of wish he did more stuff. And he's done a lot of second unit directing, which second units are very much important, but they don't really handle the important story moments. They're often for B-roll shots, pickup shots, like getting inserts of hands and things, or sometimes sending your production crews too expensive. So you send a director and you rent a production crew somewhere else, and then that becomes a second unit. So, like, some would say that's a hard job. I would say it's a hard job for sure, but depending on which scenario you're in.
Yeah.
But I wish he got to do more stuff. Like, he is credited for helping write The Matrix, or helping direct The Matrix, but what if he had actually directed?
I don't know if he was also part of Sense8. I watched some of that.
Sense8 was a movie that I enjoyed a bit.
Show.
Sorry. I'm not
I think you're thinking of Super 8.
I am thinking of Super 8, but I have seen Sense8 as well.
Okay.
I can't think. I'm sorry.
No, dude, we're both kind of gone today. Let's be real.
So I get like, what else do I want to talk about that's non-spoilery? Conversations. I like how this movie made me feel like these were genuine people talking to each other. Their conversations felt natural, like how they actually would. So I hated that we ended up having to be retold Evie's story. Like,
yeah, we do have to get retold that like 3 times for some reason.
We have one moment through like the I only can remember 2. But even just those 2, we get one where the audience learns about it through the investigator, whose name I really can't remember. I'm really bad with characters.
Which one? It's Lynch. Finch.
Finch. Yes, Finch.
Finch.
Director Finch. Investigator Finch.
And Dominic.
Yeah.
Played by Rupert Graves, from Sherlock fame.
But
Another odd adaptation.
yeah, I don't know where I was going with that. Oh, we get to hear her backstory from him, and then we get to hear it from her, and I wonder if we could take out one of the two, like take it out from. I was thinking take it out from hearing from her, because
Yeah.
like she explains herself to V in that scene, but I don't feel like she needs to explain herself. Like, not to V, of course, but not to us either. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, it's just kind of a weird.
I guess like it's a weird moment because if she doesn't, like, I don't know if him knowing her background would change anything.
No, it doesn't really, does it?
I don't think
In
so.
a grand scheme.
So like, I genuinely don't know um, how I feel about that. Sometimes, like I feel like I said that I don't like the second time around.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's just, I don't know, dude. Like, it's one of those like weird little like kind of nitpicks that you have for it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because like genuinely, the rest of this movie you really enjoy, but it's
Yeah,
another one of those little.
it's just small moments that wondering why would you do that in this otherwise really.
Yeah,
So
and I
guess,
agree.
So I guess I don't really have anything else to say unless I want to start talking spoilers.
I'm good to get into spoilers. We can do that.
Okay. I get my.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, 10 popcorn. There you go. Sorry.
This is our gimmick and you're forgetting it.
Shut up, dude. I am tired.
I understand. I'm
This is
gonna
the first
give
time I need coffee to get through the show.
I'm gonna give this one an 8.
I think I'm like right about there as well. So I'll round up to an 8 from where I was like I was teetering between 7.5 8. So I'll just round up to an 8. We got a solid 8.
Part of me, like, I'm teetering between like an 8 and 8.5 because because this is definitely a good movie. Definitely one that I will watch again for sure. It's just that it sits in a weird spot because I'm not sure how much I would rewatch it. You know, like with other movies like Into the Spider-Verse, we gave that movie a 10. I would not say that this movie Into the Spider-Verse has nearly as many like intense themes. I don't think it has, and like this movie is all about fighting like fascism and supremacy of the government and stuff like that. While that movie is about becoming yourself and growing into the person that you can become. Uh, but we gave that movie a lot higher score because of many other reasons. Like,
Yes, I'll say that. Yeah,
like
there's a lot. The reason why Into the Spider Verse got like a perfect out of 10 is because of so many things.
yeah, like even just saying like Avengers Endgame, I would watch that again. I'd probably watch that again another like 50 times. Same with Infinity War. But I don't think I would watch this another 50. Even though
No.
I like this movie a lot.
Yeah, I
guess
get that.
I guess part of the novelty for this movie is the like where the story will go. Like there's no intrigue necessarily. There's no like plot that you have to uncover, but first time seeing this movie I think is important.
That's fair. That's true.
Uh.
That was a good Valentine's Day for us.
All right. Yeah. So let's move on. Let's talk about spoilers real quick for this movie.
Yeah.
Let's get ready to
So,
spoil!
quick couple of spoiler things that I want to talk about for this movie. I want to ask you, because me and my dad actually had a quick conversation about this. What is your opinion on the kiss scene. He,
It's weird.
I like it. I do and I don't. Like, my dad thinks she should have removed the mask to kiss him directly. At least that's kind of...
She's not in love with him, though. She's in love with the idea.
Yes. She's in love with the idea that he's presenting and thanking him for opening her eyes to the truth. But, and like, she loves the idea. She thought she loved him, but she learned that she didn't.
You know my problem? Gives us real Raylo energy.
But, you know what's kind of weird? I've been rewatching the last three, and part of me likes the Raylo energy now. Like, after rewatching it and taking it all in for like the third or fourth time, I'm still gonna say it's flawed. It's definitely kind of creepy. It would have been better if she kissed him rather than her, like, or like a more like forceful, like her leaning down more type thing, less meat in the middle, like they did.
Just hug.
Hug would have been fine too. Like, I really thought about it only because a few things. Episode 7, he takes off his helmet, and it's one of those like, look at me, I'm gorgeous, and it's like, I felt like it was one of those, you could play it off as love at first sight moments because he's just so damn sexy. And it's not true. It's not how it really is. It's just me fucking around here. And then, yeah, like literally, I didn't realize how perfect his hair was until I had rewatched it recently. Where he takes off his helmet, has the perfect swoosh and the curls and the lights hitting his eyes just right, and it's like, wow. And then we get to episode 8, where he's the only one who's kind of showing her compassion throughout the movie. Sure, it ends poorly, but there's kind of the forming and the starts of a relationship. And then the third one, it jumps the gun. But this movie, I definitely felt like I liked it. Because they kind of send both messages. Where V essentially wants his love story, where he and she disappear into the world and live happily ever after together in the new world that they've created. That's kind of the simile that they do by showing the movie that they put over and over again. That's a common technique that they do, if they're trying to allude that the movie has a similar theme as another movie. They'll play that film over and over again. Or at least play it in the background at some point. It's a practice people do.
Yeah.
And in this movie, there's a moment when V's like, yeah, that's all I want. But then he realizes that's not actually what he wants. He just wants liberty for all, I guess.
Yeah.
And, like, there's a moment when Evie thinks the same thing, where she's like, yeah, I would love to be with him and live happily ever after, just the two of us. But
just the two of us.
Yeah, but she then like gets her talk and thinks things through, and she's like, "No, you're right. Your ideals are more important than you."
Yeah. I don't know. It's just complicated, in my opinion.
So, yeah, complicated, but I like it. It's so... I find it disturbing. Like, I know this is a tyrannical government, but it's so disturbing how nonchalant things were treated in there. Like, rape, and freaking... There's a line in here where a surveillance truck is driving down the church, and the surveillance truck drivers are laughing like, "Ha! It must be Child's Night at the Abbey again," because they can hear Evie screaming about not wanting to have non-consensual sex with Lilliman the priest.
Well, then they start listening in when V's in there.
And then they do it a second time when V's in there, yes. Like, they have to establish that people are listening at all times for a lot. Like, they establish a lot of things in this movie that make sense. Like, they have to establish that there are surveillance vans listening to people. So what do? They show us that there are surveillance vans listening to people. And they do that, and also at the same time establish that this place is a nasty place that the people are living in. But then after that, they've established the surveillance vans. Um, those surveillance vans are then used to progress the story for our characters later on. It's not like they sat in front of the giant TV with the man staring down at them, and they're like, "Yeah, so our surveillance vans are out there doing the job that you asked them to," and then they cut. Like, it's just, it's definitely good storytelling. It's a very good world that they've created and developed, and that they can continue to set up good moments in. But, is it disgusting the things that the people can get away with? Like the police.
That's
can
what happens
actively
when
rape
you're in
women.
power.
Yeah, police actively raping women.
Sadly true in our society.
Well, that one's only true if you live in 18 out of the 50 states. That was something I talked about on a Friday show.
But also, like, you know, it happens in all of them.
Yeah. Other things one thing I really enjoyed is seeing all the ghosts of the dead people at the end too. Like when they lift up the masks and it's all the people that the government has killed, and all the people that we have seen from the televisions in the past. Like,
Yep.
it was actually kind of awe-inspiring to see that. Like, I don't think that any country would do that nowadays. Like, stand up unanimously together, all peoples. Don't get me wrong.
It would take a lot.
We have protests now that could maybe compare to this, but we are so divided now in our times because people see different opinions that, like, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But it was really
I don't know.
heartening to see. Like, I like that moment in the film. It almost brought a tear to my eye. I was like, wow, these people are standing up for what they believe in, and they're not getting shot.
And mace and tear gas and
But yeah,
military step down out of the way.
so that was another thing I liked. I like how they did the multiple like callbacks too. Like, they did 2 moments with Evie being in the exact same spot with the exact same camera angles, seeing the exact same thing happen, but the 2 different people. It's interesting. I liked it a lot. And plus, there was
There's a lot to it.
Sorry, go ahead.
There's a lot to it.
Yeah, it's just a lot of good things in this movie. A lot of great details. It's not like a bunch of small detail kind of things, but like I wouldn't put this. When I think of small details, I think of things like Ready Player One and Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, where even the smallest sound bites are very particularly placed. And like this probably has those same the same ideas, but not to that degree, you know. So it has much better storytelling than a lot of the movies we've watched in a while. I'll say that for sure.
What do you mean? Artemis Fowl was great.
Totally great. I mean, I was the one who was being devil's advocate in that argument, but
I don't know how you gave it a 4.5.
Yeah. Yeah, I've got, I guess, nothing else really super spoilery I want to talk about.
I don't really have much.
It's... Nope, I got nothing else. Everything
Cool.
else is just kind of, in my notes here, is just kind of pointing out the storytelling. Like, how V chose his name, and all that other stuff. Because they literally connect the dots really well. They knock over all the dominoes for us. Well. I don't know. I got
As a
nothing.
movie should.
I got nothing else for that movie.
Cool.
So,
I'm gonna fall
news.
asleep.
It's off to the news and the wrap up. Doop, doop, doop. We're at the news.
Tenet has a release date.
Oh, they have another release date? I thought it was delayed indefinitely.
I think it actually has a release date now. August 22nd. But it's gonna be like in like parts that it gets released in the sense of like where it gets released.
Okay, yeah, I was about to say, because it says here on Google, Tenet's coming out September 3rd, 2020.
We're not going to go see that, are we?
I don't think so.
Okay. Yeah,
We'll
just a
release-
forewarning, folks. I don't think we're going to the theater anytime soon. So
Like, I'm still even debating. Like, my official return to work now is August 3rd, so I have a week till work starts for me, and I'm half debating like not going to that. So, but that's me. But yeah, it says here from Variety, Tenet will release internationally in August, but will debut here in September on the 3rd. Because now internationally they have a little more control. Things. That's nice.
yeah.
You want to talk about Butch Hartman since you guys were talking about it in the chat there?
He's just a douchebag. There isn't much more to it. He pushes a lot of shit on people.
Do you remember like there was one point when I was watching his YouTube channel where he said he was quitting YouTube, and then like 2 weeks later he was already back on YouTube.
Sounds like every YouTuber ever.
I guess that's true. Yeah. You could be like me, who says, "I'm going to keep posting," and then don't post again for 4 months. That's how you really YouTube.
Hey, some of the big channels do that.
Dude, like, some can do that. Like JonTron. He used to be able to do that. I don't think he can still, because he's been gone for a really long time. But
For reasons that that
makes
he
sense.
said some things.
He said some things. He's
Not
like
some
he's
good things.
he's becoming a person, like a social media personality now more than anything, but more than he was a YouTuber. So there's that. But there's other things like movie spin-offs being delayed. There's a G.I. Joe spin-off called Snake Eyes that's not going to be coming out now until 2021.
Oh, speaking of Snake Eyes, you know, play Snake Eyes in G.I. Joe 1 and 2?
Who's that?
Ray Park.
He's a cool guy.
No, he's not. You know what happened?
What happened?
When they announced the Mall video, or the Mall series coming to Disney Plus, starring Ray Park, they said go over to his Instagram to see some of the behind-the-scenes stuff that he's been working on. Well, either someone hacked it, or I haven't looked into it much since that night. Or he posted video of his wife sucking his dick. Potentially as revenge porn. So if it is that,
I don't know. I can't see anything about it, honestly.
how? It happened like 2 days ago. Fucking internet.
It might be my
Hold on.
terminology that I'm looking for here. Here we go.
Ray
Here's something from
Park.
moms.com. Under fire for rumors of revenge porn, child and spouse abuse.
Yep. Yeah, some of the allegations are false, like the child abuse and stuff like that.
Yeah, it says speculation of child abuse has also risen to. It says the post was promptly deleted, but they still don't have a clue if it was.
I don't even know
hacked
if
or
it was
intentional.
entirely them in the video from what it looked like. So again, at least for me, Sam Ryder is still my mall. So
Oh, so that's interesting. Yeah. That sucks. People are awful. It's kind of funny. Well, not funny. I was literally just watching a video the other day. I like watching Corridor Digital and Corridor Crew.
Yeah.
And on the Corridor Crew channel, they have stunt doubles react. And they're literally the female stunt double they had on was talking about working with Ray Park in the Star Wars Clone Wars animation, doing the body double stuff.
Yeah.
And she was like, "Yeah, he's a really good guy, an absolute legend." I guess now.
Yeah, I mean, if it's someone else, like, no matter what, it's a shitty situation. If someone else hacked it, shitty. If it's him posting it as revenge, shitty. Both ways are shitty.
Like, I don't know. I don't see anything else new about it. Like, this article was 2 or 3 days ago.
Yeah, I don't see anything else either.
But like, a post that happened yesterday. This was a post yesterday saying fans are worried that he'll be canceled due to troubling Instagram post. Oh. No, yeah, this person doesn't know. This person still believes that it was a hack, or at least they're hoping it was. Because yeah, there's no other news on this yet, other than. So I guess that's something we'll have to keep we'll look out for. Maybe get back to. Who knows?
Who knows?
This is like, once again, this is one of those things where it's so difficult to say. Like, because there's still talks every single day about Amber Heard and Johnny Depp and their intermarital struggles.
Oh, God.
So, like, is he actually abusive? We don't know anymore. Is he gonna work on Pirates 7? 911? I don't know. Pirates 911? Oh, Jesus. It's like, it's hard to say nowadays. It's part of the reason why the Oscars don't have a host anymore. Because they don't want to have to try and be related to somebody where their sudden announcement of something will change how the public looks at the Oscars.
Yeah. Yeah. It is what it is.
Being famous is weird.
Yeah.
Because we totally know what that's like.
Yeah.
Let's see. Golden Globes have set their date for February 28th of next year. So if you want to look out for the Golden Globes next year, that's happening.
Yay.
There's, of course, more people who have passed away. Like John Saxon, Nightmare on Elm Street star, died at 83 on the 26th. Not on the 26th, sorry. But that's the date that this was reported. On the 26th. Let's died of pneumonia. Let's see here. Rental stuff. Yeah, I don't really see anything else. Nothing really super newsworthy. I feel like there was something else that I wanted to talk about, but I got it other than next month.
I don't know, dude. I don't keep track of all the news.
Neither do I, apparently.
Next month's movies.
Yeah, we could talk about next month's movie.
So, next month's theme. We came up on just a whim. And it was just, we suggested one of them, and then we were like, we got a month. Because it was really easy to make. Is Robo Month. First week is going to be Hugh Jackman Robot Week. We're going to start out with the Wolverine from the movie. Chappie, Real Steel. We have the week after that animated robots with Robots, the animated movie, and Big Hero 6. The week after that, the week I'm iffy about.
I'm excited for.
It's either good again, man. I'm like
the one that I'm not sure of. This is robot horror movie week, by the way. So the one that I'm not sure of is Kill Command. The one that I'm sure will be fine is I Am Mother.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
After that, the week after that is Terminator week with Terminator Salvation, Genesis, and Terminator.
We're just gonna finish off the Terminator, pretty much.
Oh, well, we're not doing 3, but I don't know if we're gonna want to do 4 movies in a fucking week.
I don't know. We're pretty much finishing up Terminator.
Yeah. And then we've got Pacific Rim and Pacific Rim 2.
They're mechs, but they're giant robots.
So Robo Month next month.
I'm excited.
So
yeah, like that's a theme that I can enjoy. Like specifically because we say robots, and we have very distinct 4 different weeks. Like, I'd say the closest 2 weeks would be Hugh Jackman week and Terminator week. Like, those would probably be the movies that will be the most similar to each other.
No.
But
not even.
But yeah.
I don't know, this month was very different from each other.
Like, this month was different, yes. Or, like, all the movies were different. But we didn't go through, like, different themes of movies, really. Like, that's one of the things...
That's because there was a lot of trash.
Yeah. Like, one of the things that I really like is, like, going through genres, where we can go through, like, crime stuff, and then start talking about horror, and then do action movies. And
I don't know, man. Like, we had Action Week with the Bays.
Uh-huh.
We had what were supposed to be thriller-ish with books. We had Franchise, which is supposed to tell a coherent story. And then we had this week, which was Independence. Very different themes from everything else. I feel like all these movies have different themes to them and very different stories. It's just sucked that half of them were trash.
Yeah, it's like we had Transformers. Uh-huh.
That wasn't this month. That was last month.
We
Had 2 Transformers this month, sir. Get it right.
Yeah, Transformers. Had...
Which they were very different Transformers movies.
That's
from
true.
each other.
They were... What I'm getting at is, like, horror compared to comedy, compared to action thriller, compared to action... Like, these are a lot of action films. We watch a lot of action movies, Dev.
Month wasn't like that.
I feel like if you put a percentage, like, action movies would probably be about 60% of what we watch. Maybe 66.
Well, it's most of what comes out!
I know, it bugs me. But there's 30 years of movies we could pick from. Maybe 40. I'm just kidding. So, yeah, that's next month. We're talking robots. We're doing fun things. I'm excited. Hopefully things will be better next month. Like, hopefully next week I won't be as upset.
Let's hope.
Hopefully you won't be as exhausted. That one's probably not as likely.
There haven't been that many action movies this year that we've watched. I'm like looking through this. It's like through March was like a 50-50.
Like I said, 60-40 is around the...
Bullshit! The first week, Murder Mystery and Uncut Gems?
Totally.
Not action movies. I wouldn't consider 1917 an action movie.
I would consider that an action film. It's like a historical
thriller.
But
Dr. Dolittle and Dolittle?
That's comedy, sure.
Sonic the Hedgehog.
That one is weird.
Buddy comedy.
Still action-y.
It had action moments, but I would not define that as an action film. Turner and Hooch and Call of the Wild.
There's a lot of action.
The Mummy and Invisible Man. Mummy, maybe.
Like, you're still only focusing on this year. I've said, like, in this show. I'm probably, like, we're not going past...
Well, I don't have the list for the rest of our show.
I could make them if I really wanted to. Like, I could go through all of the old files.
Well, if you do that, go get our ratings so I can make the lists.
It's so, like, money is the problem. Like, I don't have control over the internet here. I don't entirely know how much our data cap is. I think we have a data cap. I don't know. So if I start uploading, I think it was like 20 podcasts that I still have that we haven't uploaded from the beginning of the show. If I upload those, that would probably go through all of my data if I have a data cap, and then some. So like it's there's a weird spot here where it's like I want to upload these, but where I'm at doesn't seem like it's possible. Thanks for your support.
What do you want me to say?
I don't know. Think of something to make this doable, Dev.
Good night, everybody.
Sure, I guess we're done here. Thanks for being here, everybody. This is Craig the Casual.
You know what? For that, his name is Steven.
Now, someone who's really good at reading words will say, his name is Steven Fucker. So, thanks very much, everybody, for being here. You're awesome. I appreciate you. Follows, likes, subscribes, YouTube and Twitch and other stuff. Watermelon? Was I right?
Yeah. Well, it's the line. Do you know that's the word that you can say?
Yeah, exactly. If you're ever, for those of you who feel like lip syncing on stage, all you ever need to say is watermelon, and people will believe you're singing. If you want to get sassy with it, you could do watermelon motherfucker. Watermelon motherfucker. Like, it gives you more, facial movement. So yeah, there's that. Yeah, we're done here. Thanks, everybody.
Bye.